Drew Peterson was born and raised in Bolingbrook, a suburb of Chicago, Illinois. After high school, Drew enlisted in the United States Army and in 1977 joined the Bolingbrook Police Department. Over the years, Drew made a name for himself in the department, eventually reaching the rank of sergeant. Upon joining the police force, Drew was assigned to various units, including the Metro Area Narcotics Squad. His dedication and skill in this field earned him recognition from his superiors, as he was awarded the Police Officer of the Year award in 1978. Drew's passion for being a police officer was evident throughout his career. His colleagues described him as a cop's cop who enjoyed working closely with his fellow officers and dedicated his life to serving and protecting the community. In 2007, at 53, he retired from the Bolingbrook Police Department, leaving behind a successful career and a lucrative pension of nearly $80,000 a year. Although Drew had a passion for law and order, being a police officer in the military and Bolingbrook, he also had a knack for attracting women. As a young man, Drew met his first wife, Carol Brown, in high school and married her in 1974. However, their marriage did not stand the test of time, and they divorced only 6 years later after Carol discovered Drew's infidelity. Before separating, Drew and Carol had 2 children, Stephen and Eric. In 1982, Drew met his second wife, Vicki Connolly, and married her. Their marriage, however, did not fare any better, and they divorced 10 years later in 1992. Drew met Kathleen Savio on a blind date, and the pair married in 2004. They had 2 children together, Thomas and Christopher. Initially, Drew was attentive and doting on Kate, always showering her with hugs and kisses and telling her how beautiful she was. However, as Drew and Kathleen's relationship progressed, his behavior towards her began to change. He started calling her ugly and a nutcase, according to Kathleen's friends and family. Around the same time Drew started to change towards his wife Kathleen, Drew met Stacy Kales, a 17-year-old working the night shift at a local hotel. Stacy, who had faced a forbidding upbringing, had lost 2 siblings before she turned 15, and in 1998, her mother disappeared. To Stacy, Drew brought a sense of stability and protection. With permission from Stacy's father, they started dating. Despite Drew being in a relationship with teenage Stacy, he was still married to Kathleen. One day, Kathleen received anonymous letters stating that she was the laughingstock of the town because her husband, Drew, was sleeping with a teenager. Kathleen was stunned, and she decided to confront Drew about the allegation. To her surprise, Drew did not deny having a 17-year-old girlfriend. Instead, he and Kathleen began discussing the possibility of getting a divorce after 9 years of marriage and 2 children. Due to their marital issues, Drew moved out of the home he shared with Kathleen. On the other hand, Stacy moved into Drew's new house, only a few blocks from Kathleen's. Shortly after Stacy and Drew moved in together, Stacy discovered she was pregnant. Determined to marry Stacy and embark on a new chapter in his life, Drew approached Kathleen for a divorce. After some deliberation, Kathleen agreed to sign the divorce papers, but only on one condition, that they would discuss the financial arrangements at a later time. On October 7, 2003, Drew and Kathleen's divorce was finalized. Just 2 weeks later, on October 23rd, Drew and Stacy exchanged vows in an intimate ceremony, marking the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. Drew seemed to revel in showing his hot young wife off to his former wife, often taking Stacy on bike rides past Kathleen's home, seemingly to remind her that he had chosen Stacy over her. The relationship between Drew and Kathleen continued to deteriorate. Between 2002 and 2004, there were several instances where the police were called to Kathleen's home to resolve issues between the two. These issues often revolved around custody and visitation matters related to their sons. On March 1, 2004, Kathleen Savio was found dead in her bathtub in the master bedroom suite of her home. The circumstances surrounding her death were deeply suspicious. However, Kathleen's death was ruled an accident by drowning, despite the absence of water in the tub. A coroner's jury decided this verdict based on the evidence presented, which included a statement by a police officer who vouched for Drew's character. The officer assured the jury that Drew was a good man and would never harm Kathleen. After Kathleen's death, Stacy Peterson and Drew had another child together. Apart from raising her 2 young children, Stacy also helped Drew with his and Kathleen's sons. However, things took a tragic turn in 2007 when Stacy went missing on Sunday, October 28th. Stacy had planned to assist her brother in painting her new apartment in Joliet, Illinois that day. However, she never showed up, causing concern among her family. When Stacy's brother reached out to her, he failed to receive an answer. This behavior was unusual. Stacy was known to never shut off her phone and always carried it. As the day progressed, without any contact from Stacy, her family reported her missing to the Illinois State Police. An investigation was immediately launched into the disappearance, and the detectives began questioning Stacy's husband, Drew. The detectives sought to gather any information that could help them locate Stacy. According to Drew, the last time he saw Stacy was on Sunday, October 27th, when he woke up to find her telling him she was heading to her brother's house to assist with a painting project. Drew claimed that he fell back asleep and was awakened by his children a while later. At approximately 9 p.m. that night, Drew asserted that Stacy called and informed him that she had left him for another man. She also stated that she had parked her car at the airport. In the months before Stacy's disappearance, Drew claimed that she had become increasingly distraught after the death of her beloved sister from cancer several months earlier. Stacy's behavior seemed to change during this time, which led Drew to believe that she had developed mental health issues. However, inconsistencies in Drew's account raised suspicion among Stacy's loved ones. Stacy's family and friends did not believe his claim that Stacy had left their children behind and fled with another man. In their hearts, they knew that she would never willingly abandon her children. Further, they believed that Stacy's distress was a natural response to the loss of her sister, rather than a sign of mental illness. As the investigation progressed, it became increasingly challenging for the detectives to make sense of what happened to Stacy. Everyone hoped that the young mother would resurface, bringing closure to a heartbreaking situation. After Stacy's disappearance, Drew took a leave of absence from the Bolingbrook Police Department. He ultimately retired from his job, allowing him to receive his full pension. Since Drew was never convicted of a crime related to Stacy's disappearance, he was allowed to retain his pension. During the early days of the investigation, conflicting accounts and rumors surrounding Stacy's disappearance emerged. However, one thing that stood out was Drew's unwavering stance. He adamantly denied having any involvement in her disappearance and maintained his innocence throughout the media frenzy. Meanwhile, Stacy's friends and family remained concerned about her whereabouts. They organized searches and posted flyers throughout the city, urging the police to help find her. The search for Stacy soon became a community effort, with people from all walks of life coming together to help find her. Despite the widespread efforts, no trace of Stacy could be found. The police conducted thorough investigations, searching ponds, several search warrants on Drew's home, and even using cadaver dogs. However, no evidence was found to suggest that Stacy had met foul play or had any involvement in her disappearance. Drew took every opportunity to speak publicly about the case. He appeared on Good Morning America with a message for Stacy, urging her to come forward and let the public know where she was. In an interview with Larry King, Drew referred to himself as the mom to his children, saying that he had taken on the roles of both parents since Stacy's disappearance. Drew portrayed himself as a victim, falsely accused by overzealous investigators and the media. His demeanor conveyed a sense of entitlement and arrogance, as if he believed he was above the law. 2 months after Stacy Peterson vanished without a trace, the police announced that Drew Peterson was the prime suspect in her disappearance. This news shocked the public, as Drew had previously been seen as a respected police officer and pillar of the community. In addition to the investigation into Stacy's disappearance, the authorities also announced that they were reopening the case of Drew's third wife, Kathleen Savio, who tragically died under mysterious circumstances. Illinois officials obtained permission to exhume her body on November 13, 2007, in order to carry out further investigations. Drew appeared on the Today Show following that day, vehemently denying any involvement in either tragedy. Despite mounting evidence to the contrary, he insisted that he was innocent and expressed his disbelief that Kathleen's death was being reclassified as a homicide. As the police investigation intensified, new information came to light that painted a darker picture of Drew's relationship with Kathleen. Kathleen's loved ones told investigators that Drew had threatened to kill Kathleen and make it look like an accident in order to avoid giving her half of his pension. This chilling revelation further strengthened the belief that Drew was capable of committing such heinous crimes. Furthermore, the medical examiner's re-examination of Kathleen's body determined that the cause of death was homicide, contradicting the initial theory that she died by accident. This development came as a blow to Drew, who had been maintaining his innocence all along. In response to the medical examiner's findings, Drew expressed shock to the media, stating that he'd always believed that Kathleen's death was a result of a household accident. When the detective spoke to Drew Peterson's second wife, Vicky Connolly, she alleged that during their 10-year marriage, Drew had threatened to murder her and make it look like an accident. She also alleged that Drew had physically abused her throughout their relationship. Vicky's daughter, who lived with Drew until 17, corroborated her mother's account. The detectives learned that Stacy had expressed a desire to end her marriage to Drew. Stacy's friends and family informed them that Drew had accused her of not being attractive enough for him. As a result, Stacy had taken various measures to enhance her physical appearance, attempting to please Drew. Stacy had pursued cosmetic enhancement procedures, including breast implants, LASIK surgery, a tummy tuck, and braces on her teeth. These measures were driven by a desire to meet Drew's expectations and improve her appearance in his eyes. However, these efforts seemed vain, as Drew continued to harbor resentment and jealousy towards Stacy. Despite Drew's fears, Stacy's seemingly innocent interactions with others continued to cause him distress. Drew was deeply possessive and believed that Stacy was constantly cheating on him. As a result, he attended her gym sessions to ensure her safety and monitor her activities. However, Drew had maintained a steady presence of a girlfriend by his side. Drew's stepbrother Thomas Murphy came forward with crucial information. Thomas claimed he helped Drew carry a large blue barrel that felt warm to the touch into Drew's SUV. Afterward, Drew drove the vehicle and the barrel to an unknown location. Thomas's account was corroborated by Rick Mims, a friend of Drew's, who admitted that he and Drew purchased 3 blue 55-gallon plastic containers from their employer, a cable company, in 2003. Rick Mims also provided photos of these barrels to the detectives working on the case. However, Drew's attorney cast doubt on the reliability of Thomas's testimony, arguing that he had a history of substance abuse, and that, at the time of Stacy's disappearance, he and Drew were not even close. Stacy's sister Cassandra believed that it was crucial to have Drew Peterson take a lie detector test regarding his alleged involvement in Stacy's disappearance. However, her request was denied by his attorney. The attorney's decision to prevent Drew from undergoing a lie detector test further fueled speculation and suspicion regarding his involvement in the case. As time passed and Stacy Peterson remained missing, Drew Peterson became increasingly arrogant and self-absorbed. His ego grew exponentially, even going as far as to hire a publicist to manage his public image. In December 2008, over 1 year after Stacy's disappearance, Drew became engaged to a 24-year-old Christina Rains. She would have been his 5th wife. The relationship between Drew and Christina was unconventional, to say the least. Christina openly declared her love for Drew on national television, stating that they had a fantastic time together, and she believed he had done nothing wrong regarding his 3rd wife's murder and his 4th wife's disappearance. Their appearance on the Today Show further fueled speculation and intrigue. Christina reaffirmed her support for Drew and spoke of how happy she was to be by his side. She dismissed any concerns about his legal troubles and portrayed their relationship as a genuine and loving partnership. Drew and Christina eventually broke up, leading to public accusations that their engagement was merely a publicity stunt designed to keep Drew's name in the media. Christina herself would later admit to viewing their engagement as a publicity ploy. The dissolution of their relationship provided further insight into the nature of their relationship. It highlighted Drew's narcissistic tendencies and willing to manipulate public perception for his gain. On May 7, 2009, Drew Peterson was indicted by a grand jury and arrested and charged with the murder of Kathleen Savio, his then wife. His bail was set at $20 million. Despite his arrest, Drew maintained his innocence and joked about the situation, acting nonchalantly. Drew hired a powerful team of attorneys to defend him, who referred to themselves as the Dream Team. In 2012, Peterson went on trial for the murder of Kathleen. According to the prosecution, Peterson murdered his ex-wife and then placed her body in a bathtub after she died. The timing of Kathleen's death was suspicious, as it occurred during the midst of a divorce settlement process. Kathleen was set to receive half of Peterson's pension as part of the settlement. The prosecutor presented evidence to the jury, highlighting the time of Kathleen's death and its significance in the divorce proceedings. They argued that Drew's actions were motivated by greed and a desire to retain control over his assets. Although hearsay statements are ordinarily not allowed in trials, the unique circumstances surrounding Kathleen Savio's death allowed a pastor to testify that he had consulted with Drew and his wife, Stacy, during their marriage. On one occasion, shortly before Stacy went missing, they met for coffee. During that conversation with the pastor, Casey confided in the pastor that the weekend Kathleen Savio died, Drew came home dressed in black and dumped women's clothing into the washing machine. Stacy further disclosed to the pastor that Drew had confessed to murdering Kathleen by hitting her in the head with a police baton and then arranging her body in the bathtub. Stacy added that Drew had told her she would need to lie to the police when they came by to question them. Stacy's statements to the pastor were admissible in court, as the judge determined they were an exception to the hearsay rule. The circumstances of Kathleen's death, combined with the pastor's testimony regarding Stacy's confession, ultimately led to Drew's conviction for Kathleen's murder. He was sentenced to 38 years in prison. During Drew's sentencing hearing, the courtroom was filled with tension and anticipation. Unable to contain himself any longer, Drew erupted into a tirade that lasted well over half an hour. Drew's anger was directed towards the prosecutor, Jim Glasgow. He unleashed a barrage of insults and accusations, blaming the prosecutor for everything that had gone wrong with his life. This tirade continued unabated as Drew vented his frustrations and anger. He painted a dark picture of Jim Glasgow, accusing him of manipulation, corruption, and dishonesty. Drew seemed to believe that Jim Glasgow was solely responsible for his current situation, and he vented his frustrations with every word. After Peterson's conviction, his hefty pension was suspended. While held in Menard Prison in South Illinois, Peter appealed his conviction. However, these efforts have not yielded any favorable results so far. The appellate court upheld Drew's conviction. During his time at Menard Prison, Drew allegedly tried to have a fellow inmate kill Jim Glasgow, the man who prosecuted him. Drew offered to pay $10,000 to have Glasgow killed. However, the inmate reported Drew's plot to his attorney, who contacted the police. The police placed a wire on the inmate, allowing them to record their conversations with Drew. Drew Peterson was charged with solicitation to murder for hire and was sentenced to another 40 years in prison. This additional sentence further solidified his status as a convicted felon and eliminated any possibility of his release in the near future. The disappearance of Stacy Peterson remains unsolved, and Drew continues to be the prime suspect in the case. Stacy's family and friends continue to seek justice for their loved one. They hope that one day, Drew will confess to killing Stacy and reveal the location of her body. However, one of Drew's older sons has expressed skepticism about the likelihood of Drew telling the truth. He believes that his father desires to go out as a martyr, maintaining his innocence throughout. Despite Drew's unwillingness to cooperate, Stacy's family and friends remain steadfast in their pursuit of truth and justice. In May 2022, it was revealed that Drew Peterson's former defense attorney, Joel Brodsky, is considering the release of confidential information protected by attorney-client privilege. This decision has sparked debate among legal professionals and the general public regarding the ethics of disclosing confidential information and the potential consequences that may arise. Stacy's sister Cassandra has expressed frustration about the possibility that Joel Brodsky may face legal consequences for revealing sensitive information. However, Cassandra has made it clear that she stands by Joel Brodsky and supports his actions if he decides to come forward with any information regarding Stacy's disappearance. Joel Brodsky is under a continuing gag order not to disclose anything Drew Peterson shared with him confidentially. It is not clear if Joel Brodsky actually knows any information about the whereabouts of Stacy Peterson, although he has claimed that he does. Joel Brodsky has stated, "I know everything about both of his wives. I feel bad that Drew Peterson is still not taking responsibility, and Stacy Peterson is still missing. I'm thinking about maybe revealing what happened to Stacy and where she is." This potential disclosure of confidential information raises ethical and legal concerns. The attorney-client privilege is intended to protect the confidentiality of communications between an attorney and their client. Any breach of this privilege could have serious consequences for Joel Brodsky and Drew Peterson. Cassandra, Stacy's sister, refuses to lose hope in the quest for finding her sister's remains. Despite the passage of years since Stacy's disappearance, Cassandra remains determined to uncover the truth and bring closure to her family. Recently, she embarked on a groundbreaking expedition with an innovative device. Utilizing a remote-operated vehicle equipped with sonar technology, Cassandra delved deep into the murky waters of an Illinois canal. In a groundbreaking development, Cassandra claims she has made a significant discovery. According to Court TV, A still image from video captured by the aforementioned remote-operated vehicle seems to indicate a skull and several bones submerged beneath the canal's surface. The Illinois State Police, who are overseeing the investigation into Stacy's disappearance, have issued an official statement regarding the matter. Acknowledging the importance of every credible and viable lead, they assert that their agents are diligently following up on leads. Cassandra, dissatisfied with the police department's response, decided to take matters into her own hands. She invested her funds into special tech that continued to improve, eventually allowing her to bring the necessary equipment in from Alaska. Her latest discovery was presented to the police, but she was told when they went for a dive in the area, they found only a rock and declared the area was clear. Despite the police's disinterest, Cassandra remains hopeful for the search for her sister's body. In an effort to raise funds to continue the search, Cassandra launched an online fundraiser to retrieve the remains from the bottom of the canal. According to Cassandra, her sole desire is for Stacy to find peace. She wants her sister to have a proper burial, allowing her loved ones to find closure and say goodbye.